Time we are going to be looking at the scope of physical geography, and that is our major concern today. Here we are going to be looking at physical geography as a discipline. We are going to be looking at the Earth and what does the Earth consist in terms of the internal structure and also the external structure. When do we see? They are saying that the main concern of physical geography is the biosphere. In other words, we are looking at the layer or the layer that supports life in terms of the existence of human being. We are going to be looking at plants and animals there onto the Earth's surface and how they relate or how the physical environment depends on interaction between the endogenic process and the exogenic process or forces. So when you look at the endogenic process, for it looks at all these are forces that come or that are coming from within the Earth's interior. And when you look at the exogenic, we are looking at the forces which are originating from the atmosphere, and this process of the exogenic, we are going to be looking at mainly what we call the dendational processes. With the dendational process, we are referring to weathering, talk about erosion and deposition in there. So those are the processes that all the things that we are going to be looking at in terms of endogenic and exogenic forces. So they are saying that the Earth crust is a habit or is a habitat to a variety of living things. In other words, it is termed as the biosphere or what you can call the biotic ecosystem. With what they are trying to mean that when you look at the atmosphere, it is the surface or it is the place that is known for living organisms. In other words, the place that supports life. That is the Earth that we are talking about, that the Earth is crust, the surface. That is what we term as the Earth is surface or the Earth is crust. So they are saying that different reliefs like mountains, hills, plains are created on the Earth's surface. In other words, they are as a result of the endogenic forces, which include diversity in the habitats that tend to be existing onto the Earth's surface. Then the other thing they are talking about, they are what we call the exogenic forces. These originate from the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide or carbon. Talk about hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases. So these ones, for them, they deal with the process that tend to be happening around the Earth's surface, and we are going to be seeing the interaction between them together with the atmosphere or together with what we call the Earth, and also look at the formations or the formation of different landforms by various dendational works or by dendational processes. With the dendational process, I mentioned about weathering and erosion in there. So with the endogenic process, we are going to be looking at landforms that are formed in there, and also look at landforms formed as that of exogenic processes or for forces. Below there are some of the sample questions. With those sample questions, they are talking about physical geography has evolved during 4 periods. They are talking about the ancient, medieval, modern, and the recent era or the recent events. So that's how we are going to be looking at those questions. Then they are saying that recent times it has emerged as more balanced and comprehensive field study. Then the other they are saying it is highly intellectual discipline in nature. Talk about a perfect natural and the earth is science. So those are some of the questions they are trying to refer to us. The other, they are talking about what are the two major forces of the morphological studies. We talked about those processes. Then they are distinguish between or give the two traditional methods. The traditional method, we talked about them. We had what we call the mathematical traditional method, and then we also had what we call the gathering information method as another aspect. So when we come back, we are going to be looking at the nature at top of the scope of physical geography, where we shall be talking about the nature of physical geography. Then we push to the other things and we look at the diagram trying to show how geography as a discipline in terms of nature, where we shall be looking at the branches. We talk about geophysics, we talk about zoology, botany, chemistry, we talk about morphology, we talk about physics, we talk about geology and ocean geography. So that's where we shall be picking up next time. For now, I beg to submit, and we shall be picking up from there next time.